What is up, NFC West football fans, and welcome into another edition of the NFC West Roundtable. We have made it, folks. It is official. Week 1 of the 2025 NFL season is here. We are less than 48 hours away from the season kicking off on Thursday Night Football as the Eagles take on the champion Philadelphia Eagles. But who cares about that? We're talking about the NFC West tonight, and all of your favorite teams within the division are in action this coming weekend. And of course, on tonight's episode, we dive into it. We preview week 1 of the NFL season right here on the NFC West Roundtable. So without further ado, let's bring in the fellas. Jake, Brandon, Jesse, and Mike. Fellas, I couldn't be happier to be sharing week 1 of the NFL season with you, as I couldn't be happier to be sharing it with all you lovely folks tuning in. You rode out the off season with us, and we've finally made it. What kind of helped us, wait it out a little bit was the anticipation of some new uniforms. And I was in the same boat as you guys, by the way, because the AFC East and the NFC West were set to get new uniforms. Those just debuted this past weekend. The NFL Rivalries uniforms, two divisions from each, or two divisions within the NFL are getting it each year. This year, it just so happened to be the NFC West and the AFC East. So I'm pulling up a copy of what we can expect to see from the teams within this division this year. I'm dying to get your guys' thoughts on this because there's a lot of love for them and there's a lot of hate for them. So here's the Cardinals loving this one with the spotted, dusty look. The Seahawks, everyone's comparing these to the Oregon Ducks, I guess. I don't know. I personally like them. The Rams with the black look. The Niners with that blackout look. I'll go around the table here before we dive into the week 1 action here. We got to talk about these uniforms because it's not often we get them, as I got my thing all over the place here. There we go. Jake, I'll start with you. These are a little bit of a detour with the all black. Your thoughts on how that Rams uniform's looking in the series?
Man, I thought it looked really good, and then they messed up the shoulder caps. I really don't know what they were thinking there. It just sticks out like a sore thumb. I've been told that it looks a lot better when it's like the full uniform. They keep showing the jersey. Like the uniform, apparently the pant leg is supposed to match with that, and they're going to have like the royal blue like cleats. So it might look better. I could also just have a lot of copium in me on that. But love the helmet. Need to add one to my backdrop. I'm waiting for them to drop it. I love the color. The white number was very confusing. I felt like if that's a yellow number and no, the bright blue shoulder caps, that thing is maybe my favorite. And it went from maybe my favorite with that, where because they have those two things, I was a little disappointed. I think the base color, though, the midnight blue, which I'll just say is black. I don't care what anyone says. It's black. I really do like it. I thought the Niners had a cool one. The Cardinals, I kind of like, and I kind of don't. And the Seahawks just looks like Oregon to me. I don't know. But, I'll just say this, and I'll leave it at that. With the uniforms, we got to stop having like this giant, everything has to matter in the uniform process. We have to connect everything like, the sands of Arizona. And I don't give two shits. Okay. Just make a good jersey, make a good pant, make a good helmet, and let's just be on our merry way. I will say with the Bills, the funniest thing about the Bills, the whole thing is, it's like this frozen, what is it called? What do they call the Bills one? Cold front.
Cold. Oh yeah. With the marketing names. Yeah. Cold front.
Genius, by the way. So we have, if you're keeping score at home, we have midnight mode. They'll be playing that against the Seahawks at 4:05 Eastern time. So that'll be 1:05 on the West Coast. Genius stuff there. The Bills, mind you, the whole cold front, they're playing that in early October.
Yeah.
But I don't I don't know. The Patriots had the best uniforms, in my opinion. I loved what they did. And yeah, I'm kind of tired of Nike having to make everything like this passion project. How about let's just go back to how it used to be? I don't need like a rubric on like, oh, well, the back, which you'll never see, by the way, when they're playing, you're never going to see the back collar. It's like, oh, it says Rams House in the same circus font as the thing that used to be there that's not there anymore in SoFi Stadium's there. It's like, I don't give a rip. So, yeah, I thought all 4 uniforms in a way had things I liked and didn't like. The 49ers, just the fact that it's a 49er uniform, of course. But no, it looks fine. I like it. And I think the Cardinals thing, I'm sorry to do this to you, Mike. They look like skid marks, man. I don't know what they were thinking with all that like I get like texturizing. I get it. I'm just not there. And it is funny because it feels like everything's so minimalizing today with like everything. It just seems like, oh, minimalistic is the way to go. Not with these uniforms. They were bold as hell. They tried some things I've never seen before.
Mike, I'll let you rebuttal because I absolutely love them. I mean, I know it is a bold take, but with that dusty look, you got that cool patch on the side. I thought the Cardinals crushed it.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be an NFC West Roundtable without Jake hating on the Arizona Cardinals every single time.
I don't hate the Arizona Cardinals.
Let's be real. Every single time it's like, yeah, but I hate this. You know, this is cool, but this sucks. You know what? It's just like, okay, we get it. You hate us, Jake. Okay, we get it.
No.
Let's talk about this real quick. Now, I don't get, this is supposed to be, that was the assignment, or at least what I thought with this assignment when we were talking about the Nike rivalry, is like to connect with the city and where you're playing from. The Arizona Cardinals hit it right on the head. Like, they got the speckle and they got the desert storm look. They got the desert look. That's what they were going for. Now, I don't know if you guys obviously visited Phoenix, Arizona, but we're known for these big, huge, dust storms called the Haboob, right? Come out of nowhere and completely black out the sky. That's basically what they were going for. And the patch here, probably one of the coolest freaking shoulder patches, in the Arizona Cardinals. That amazing. We've been asking for that Arizona State flag logo for the longest time, and we just haven't got it. It's like, Bidwell, just stop being out of touch with his fan base. They finally gave it to us. It's absolutely amazing. Now, when I first initially saw the jerseys, I was like, okay, that's a kind of a weird color, but like every single one of these, like they were all kind of filtered. So you really couldn't get a good grasp at what it actually looks like. When I actually saw the actual pictures, I'm like, okay, these are badass. Like, these are real cool. So obviously tan look, kind of dirty-ish. The helmet is so freaking clean. Like the Arizona Cardinals helmet is so awesome. Now, of course, in the back of the helmet, you also got the star for the state flag and then the rays that come along. The Cardinals executed this perfectly, I feel like. Now, that's what I felt like the assignment was. But I understand there's some people out there that are like, oh, it looks like you were standing on the sidewalk and a car splashed you. Like, whatever. Like, at the end of the day, that's what they were going for. A dirty, I'm in the desert type of look. You're wearing a white shirt. Not anymore, right? Not anymore, especially if you're walking these deserts. So I like it that they did a fantastic job. The 49ers, I thought they just looked very similar to the color rush. They just changed the font to OG, circus, I guess, font? Whatever. It is what it is. The Seahawks were a little confusing. I didn't get the little scratch marks unless they're going for like Seahawks claw or whatever. I didn't 100% get it. And then the Rams suck. Just
I struck a nerve.
Brandon, I know they're saying that the Seahawks, it looks like they might have copied the Oregon Ducks on their homework, but when the Oregon Ducks do 10 times more homework than anybody else, in all likelihood, you're bound to have a similar answer at some point. I love those little scratch things at the top. It's kind of like what Mike had done, or his Cardinals had done with the spots of dust on their jersey. You kind of have that ripple up on the top. I love the way that they turned out. How do you and the rest of the Seahawk faithful like those rivalry uniforms?
They're called talons, Michael.
Oh, Michael.
I think, as Jake put it on this, you have Nike out of Oregon. They're close there. It looks like, or a chance for Phil Knight to kind of be like, let me create my duck uniforms for the local NFL team. It's got a lot of just Oregon flavor to it, where it's like, if you put the jerseys side by side outside of the talon marks, I don't know if you could really tell much of a difference. So it's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not really hugely into this whole jersey thing. It's turning into like skins in video games. It's like, does your jersey turn into a bong? I don't care, So, as long as they're not putting the boys in pink like they did 10 years ago, I'm pretty much happy with just about everything. At the end of the day, I think the Niners and the Cardinals probably the best units that I saw of our division. I think Jake was right about it looks like freaking skulls on the, not in a cool way, on the shoulder pads of the Rams. But I did like the other two in the division. They looked all right to me, and I'm fine with it. But it didn't elicit much because it's just so much of an Oregon callback. And you have to understand Montlake, UW in Seattle. So
yeah,
this is a rivalry thing. It's like it just doesn't really work in that way. It'd be like you guys at Buffalo getting Ohio State colors suddenly.
Right. The Niners did seem to do a really good job, though, of kind of blending what you already know about them into these jerseys. It kind of seems seamless, like they almost already had these in their repertoire. And I love how they took that classic Niners feel with that font, and then they have the sort of the cursive right above the numbers. So the all black there, Jesse, how do you dig in these Niners uniforms?
I'm one of the few Niner fans I feel like that likes the original all blacks. Now, what was missing from those jerseys was gold. If they had put gold outline on those numbers, it would have set them off. For me, it's the helmet I'm not a big fan of. They needed to add like gold around the outside of the red. And then the face mask was fine, I guess, but they were missing gold on the helmet outside the face mask. And then the saloon font, I don't know, man. It felt like a chick wrote it. I don't know what to tell you. It's all whimsical and like so sweet looking. Like, I'm not a fan of it. I think overall, like the color scheme, the way that they did that, they executed it flawlessly, but I don't like the saloon font. I think the Arizona Cardinal uniforms look like a popcorn flavored Jelly Belly. So that's a little weird for me. The Seahawks uniforms, I don't know what the hell's going on there. And the Rams, they lost the plot completely. So of the four, I would say the Niners might be the best, but I don't know. The execution, I was kind of disappointed with all the uniforms across all 8 teams. Honestly, I was like, whatever. I don't know.
Come on.
It was supposed to be
Jets had a lot of
cool,
inspiration.
but it wasn't that cool at all, actually.
I forgot to mention the Seahawks within the numbers, the 12s is actually pretty badass. Actually, I did really like that.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah,
that is cool. Killer.
Yeah, that's actually pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I was hoping for a little more hype on your guys' end because I can't get enough of these Bills uniforms, man. That's a pre-order instantly. Yeah, Mike, you came with the heat. I got to give you credit there. I love them. I think it's awesome. It's been a decade since the Bills have done anything. I don't know how much about what you guys doing new stuff. I know the Rams have done at least they did a whole logo rebrand really within that time for the most part. And I've seen, you guys add a bit here and there. I was just stoked to see finally some change. It's been so long. I got to throw it in there though. I thought the Dolphins had the worst ones by far. Don't tell TD. I thought I was not a fan.
All right. Here's my thing about the Dolphins. I think they executed the black uniform as well as they could, but those are the colors. They just don't go well with black.
Right.
So the worst was the New York Jets. They drew inspiration from a manhole cover. The entire uniform is based on a freaking manhole.
It's because they're trash. They're super trash.
But okay, that's the meme, but why are they embracing the meme?
Yeah. That's a good point. This whole Gotham thing, all of a sudden they're Gotham. They never mentioned this once until about 2 years ago.
Oh, don't get me started.
Gotham green. And
don't get me started with the Clippers, man. They did the same thing. Now all of a sudden they have graffiti. No. That's the way it is. When your team is clearly not the most important team in a certain area, you try to spice things up.
Yeah.
I just don't think a manhole cover is spicing anything up.
Well, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I honestly thought the worst I was out of the division. I didn't really like the Patriots. I feel like it looked just very similar to their current uniform, all the exceptions.
I like the Patriots.
I didn't think they looked that great anyways. So I guess opinions.
That's what's cool about these, right? I guess it's art in a nutshell. You just either really love it or you really don't. But nonetheless, something new, and we'll see those this upcoming season. Speaking
one
of
time.
Yeah, that's the tough thing. I wonder what's going to happen there. Will they become part of the lineup or what? Because we have no clue. We don't know what the plan is here. They're going to be rolling these out over the next 4 years. So Who knows? Maybe we'll see him again. But what we will see this upcoming weekend, fellas, I don't care what uniform they're wearing. We're seeing actual NFL football. We're seeing regular season football. It kicks off this week. Thursday night, things kick off. Things got weird in Dallas, by the way. Micah Parsons gone. He did not go to any of the teams within the division, so nobody can be too elated and nobody can be too upset. I think for the most part, we all thought that they'd get something done, but they did not end up getting something done. He goes to the Green Bay Packers. That was the big news this past week, leading us in to kickoff on Thursday Night Football, where the champs take on the Dallas Cowboys without CeeDee Lamb. So we're going to get into it and talk about week one in general here. We're going to get to the predictions later on. We're going to get everybody's thoughts on who they think is going to win each game. But before we do that, we got to start by previewing each one of these games. And we'll start where the NFC West starts this upcoming Sunday, and that's in New Orleans, with the Arizona Cardinals taking on the New Orleans Saints. Perhaps the worst quarterback situation in the NFL is who Mike's Cardinals get to start things off with to kick off the season. Jesse, I'm going to start with you. You look at this Cardinals game against the Saints. You really couldn't get a better start to the year in terms of matchup. We don't know what these two teams are going to end up being. Nobody does, but everybody for the most part right now has the Saints penciled in as perhaps the worst team in the NFL. What are you looking at from this matchup on both ends? How do either team get it done in this 1 p.m. Eastern matchup on Sunday?
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the new look Cardinals look like. I mean, this is a team that's revamped their whole defense. You've got a head coach who's a really good defensive play caller coordinator himself, and he's done a great job of bringing in guys and really giving them credit. You know, he talks about his defensive coordinator like, oh, he's way better than I was. I just feel like he has the right stuff as a head coach to lead his team into battle. But I've got to know what this team looks like, and the Saints are not supposed to be a good team at all. You're going against Spencer Rattler. This defense should dominate. So that's what I'm looking for. If the Cardinals are worth their salt, the defense should easily dominate here. And then Kyler Murray, what does he look like? You know, he starts seasons out very strong. We know that he fades. This isn't going to answer all of the questions, but he himself said he wants to get more mobile. So do we see that? Do we have to see that? Is he willing to do those things? Because using everything at his disposal is what's going to make him dangerous. Using his legs, throwing on the run, bootleg actions, all of those things is what's going to make Kyler Murray his best. And then I'm really curious to see what Marvin Harrison Jr. looks like. He physically looks so different than he did last year. Does that mean that he's a better player? Does that mean that Kyler Murray can get on the same page with them? I don't necessarily know, but these are things that I'm going to be looking for in this game. I think the Cardinals certainly should run away with this one. Will they, though? It's a whole different thing, but their defense should dominate.
Will they remains to be seen. Like I said, back half of the episode, don't you worry. We'll have predictions for all three games within the division, including the game for the hat between the Niners and the Seahawks that we all can't wait to watch. But sticking with this matchup here, Cardinals versus Saints. Brandon, I'll go to you here. I mean, there's something to be said about starting the year off in two different ways, and the Cardinals are really a perfect example of this. Last year, they kicked things off week one against the Bills. They go to the AFC Championship. This year, they kick things off against a team that many people have as maybe the worst team in the NFL. The Cardinals came out looking really good week one last year. They just went up against a team that was at a different level than they currently were. The Cardinals are looking to take that next step, and they have the opportunity to showcase that Sunday. So what do you look at in this matchup between the Saints and Arizona at 1 p.m. Eastern, week one here?
I think a little bit like it seemed like, as Jesse was talking about, it's a contemplative a bit in the respect of you're not really looking at this game of the Saints are going to take down the Cardinals. Cardinals are going to probably be able to wipe the floor with them, or at least comfortably be able to handle them. To me, this is about what is this Cardinal team going to look like this upcoming year? And I've been kind of hard on Cardinals here last episode as far as prediction. Cardinal fans came back at me over my channel a little bit, and rightfully so, fairly so. So let me try to drop an olive branch to them, in that it's a game that you worry about the Cardinals becoming strong this year. You worry about them becoming their best version of themselves. And that happens on the back of, for me, first and foremost, yeah, Kyler Murray playing good. But beyond that, it's you put the investment in this defensive line. And can those youngsters, those guys that haven't shown you anything really up to this point, those Ojolaris, those Robinsons, can they mix with the vets to make this thing dynamic, to kind of help carry this defensive unit in a lot of ways, because we know the cornerbacks, they've got a couple of injuries and whatnot there. With Kyler, as like also, not to try to steal the thunder off of Jesse, but I've been harping on this for a very good amount of time as well. You've got to use your legs. You were given a skill set that other quarterbacks have in this league, like Lamar Jackson, like a Josh Allen, and they have found the perfect balance of how to use their legs, how to use their arm, how to then make the running game more dynamic because of your legs, because of your commitment to be willing to run the ball. That's the thing I'm looking for Kyler to be able to do more of this year, because if he does, it takes the Cardinal offense up a whole nother measure dynamically as far as their output goes. But defensively, can these youngsters actually show something to the Cardinals? Like to Ojulari, a Melton, some of these young up-and-coming defensive guys they've drafted very high, are they ready to roll? Because I think that they're just going to run roughshod over this Saints team.
And that's the key, right? If you don't see it week 1 against this Saints team, when will you see it? It'll be a perfect opportunity if this defense is going to take a step forward to at least showcase that against the team that they very much should do it against a quarterback that really wouldn't start on any other team in the NFL other than the New Orleans Saints. So it's a great point you make there, Brandon. Jake, you look at this matchup, Cardinals, Saints, Kyler Murray, he's looking to win the fan base back to some degree. Marvin Harrison looking to step up. This defense looking to get better, as Brandon alluded to. What do you look at as these two teams go head-to-head on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, the Cardinals are looking for their first opening week win since 2021, and the last time they did that, they went 7-0. This is a team that last year against the Bills, Z-Bot, I mean, they took them to the wire, and right after that, they destroyed the Rams, and they looked like a team where you're like, okay, this team's going to be very dangerous. They did not end up making the playoffs, so they didn't do as much as I would have wanted them to do this offseason, but they did go out and get a closer in Josh Sweat who can also stop the run. Now, I am going to kind of push back a little bit here. Now, I am not high on the Saints by any stretch and kind of feel like they're indirectly tanking for Arch Manning or whoever, right? But that said, it is week 1. I would say this is probably the worst time to play a terrible team in the New Orleans Saints, because both teams are, it's week 1. Anything can happen week 1. The Saints weren't good last year, but you know what they did? They scored 40 points in, I believe, 3 straight games to start the year. And one could argue they have better coaching staff this year. I think the quarterback position is very interesting there. I'm not really sure what they're doing, Spencer Rattler and all of that, but they still have talent. You still have, guys on that defense. You still have an Olave. You still have Rashid Shaheed. You have a Brandon Cooks. You have an Alvin Kamara. So this team definitely does have talent. I do expect the Cardinals to come in here and win this game, of course. But I don't want to put too much stock into this one game, whether or not Kyler, whether or not the Cardinals are for real. The Cardinals can just get out of New Orleans with the win, and it can be 23-20, and I'm just going to be like, yeah, you know what? Sometimes it's football, especially week 1. I would argue this is actually the worst time of the year to play a bad team, because week 1, anything can happen, but that's just my opinion. I think the Cardinals win this game pretty easily, but if they do struggle, and as long as they come away with the W, I don't really care. I'm not going to put too much stock into week 1.
It's a fair point you make. Maybe the Saints don't even know how bad they are internally yet, right? They just have no clue. They're coming in saying, hey, we got the same record as everybody else. Why not us? So it's a good point you make there, Jake. Exactly. I think you can look at it both ways. Interested to see how you're looking at this, Mike. I would have to imagine, though, Mike, if you could choose the start you had last year, opening with the Bills or opening with the Saints, you'd probably choose the latter. If I were you, I would imagine that's your guess. Maybe not, but this is the card drawn. You are playing the Saints. So talk to me. What does this matchup look like in your eyes and the rest of Cardinals faithful?
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody's got some good points, right? You don't want to be in the trap game in week 1, right? Especially when you're looking at the roster, what they got over there. And they do got some pieces, right? Got Cooks, Olave, Alvin Kamara. So they got players over there. The big unknown is the quarterback and what Spencer Rattler going to do. And I know they're probably trying to get Shuck ready to go maybe by mid-season or maybe by the end of the season to see what he's got going on. But they're just obviously in a rebuild mode right now with the New Orleans Saints. Now, week one, you're right. I mean, if the Cardinals come in here and they absolutely obliterate them, like that's kind of what I would like to see. I would like the Arizona Cardinals to have like a statement game. Now, I'm not going to come out here and puff my chest and be like, oh, we beat the potential first overall pick in the 2026 NFL draft, but it's still something good to take into week two. Like I said before, we got a very favorable start to the season in weeks 1 and 2. Now, granted, we don't really do very well against the Panthers, but if the Cardinals are really thinking about being serious contenders within the NFC West or maybe a playoff wildcard team, they got to win the games that they need to win, right? And these are the very first game to start off the season. Now, yeah, I did see the chat. The Cardinals have the easiest game amongst the NFC West when it comes down to, I guess just the easiest game in general, and that's the truth. Cardinals need to come out here away in New Orleans and take care of business. Would I panic if the Cardinals win by 3 points or 7 points? I mean, I wouldn't panic, but it'll give me a lot of content to talk about when, next week when we're talking about the Panthers. I do want to see the Cardinals have a staple point in a game that's going to show, okay, we're here. We're going to build off of this because with what we know right now, yes, the Arizona Cardinals did not really use a lot of assets, whether in free agency or the draft, on the offensive side of the ball. Monty Ossenford and this regime is very confident in who they have. Now, granted, a lot of teams don't have a Trey McBride. And we're expecting a lot of big jump or pretty big jump from Marvin Harrison Jr. to be that X factor / wide receiver number 1. And then you got James Conner as, your bruiser, aka or also, Trey Benson, because we've heard Mulder Shannon coming out saying these are number 1 and number 2, like potentially we have 2 number 1 running backs, he said. So whether that's correct or not, we're going to go ahead and see it on tape. And I'm really excited to see what this Arizona Cardinal team is going to be able to do. I do expect them to win. They got to win this game. I would love to see a 14-point deficit. And at the end of the day, this team, the New Orleans Saints, they're rebuilding. They shouldn't be in the same competition, but let's be real. Everybody's got optimism. It's week 1. That fan base is going to come into the Superdome and be very, very excited. Everybody's got the same hopes in week 1. It's up for the Arizona Cardinals to go in there and crush those dreams. That's what I'm expecting.
That it is, and we'll look to see if they end up doing that. And I'm looking forward to seeing the Cardinals this year because it does feel like they took a step forward last year. If they take another step forward this year, maybe they're vying for one of those wild card spots or better in 2025. All right, so technically next up on the time sheet, I guess you could say, based on the specific time in which we kick off, it's Niners Seahawks, but I got to save that preview for the finale here. I got to save that for later. So let's kick it off to 425, where we got ourselves a hell of a week 1 battle here between the Texans and the Rams at SoFi Stadium. Houston coming in. They're looking to prove that they're one of the top dogs in the AFC. Meanwhile, the Rams are looking to continue to prove that they're one of the best teams in the entire NFL. Jesse, going to start with you here. Rams, Texans, how do you preview this one?
Well, I will say this. I am the host on the AFC South Roundtable, and 3 of the 4 panelists did pick the Texans to win that game, which was pretty surprising to me. So really what I'm looking for, though, is I think a couple things. One, I want to see how that Texans offensive line holds up. I was shocked at how little that they put into it assets-wise this offseason. They almost seem to have gotten worse, although the coaching has changed. I do think some of their problems from a pressure standpoint were schematic issues. Maybe that can get cleaned up. But overall, you're playing against a very, very good Rams front that is going to cause good offensive line issues, let alone bad ones, new rebuilt ones. So I'm curious to see how they handle that. And then I'm also curious to see Matthew Stafford. Yes, we know his back's fine and he's going to play and all these things, but he did get an epidural. And that front for the Texans is also no joke. They are going to get at Matthew Stafford. They're going to hit him. And I'm curious to see how he holds up to those hits. I don't expect this to be a high-scoring game on either front. The Texans' defense is extremely legit. I think the Rams' defense is extremely legit. And it's just going to come down to who can run the ball effectively and who can keep their quarterback upright and respirating. So I think there's some interesting things that we're going to find out really, really quickly in this NFL season on teams that have some question marks. But this one, for a non-division week 1 game, this is about as fun as it gets. 2 very, very good teams going head to head. I'm looking forward to this one.
Couldn't agree more, Jesse. When you're looking at interconference battles here, this is a hell of a way to kick off the season. Shocked to see that you had 3 predictions for the Texans in that game. They seem to be awfully confident in Houston coming into this one. Brandon, we'll see if you have similar confidence when we go into our predictions later. But in terms of previews, how do you look at this game right now, this battle between Houston and LA?
I tell you, Z-Bot, I'm fed up. I'm fed up and I don't want to take it anymore. What is wrong with these NFL teams getting these great, ultra-talented quarterbacks, and then they give them this crap-tastic offensive line, and you can feel them purposely do it? Not that it happens by accident, not by a myriad of injuries, but by almost them tactically choosing to make it so. And that seems to be the case with this Texas offensive line, as it appears to have even gotten worse than it was last season. And it was a horror show last offseason. Remember the narrative we talked about on this channel at that time, which was, whoa, CJ Stroud, sophomore slump. Is CJ maybe not the real goods? Is he suddenly now just a shell of himself? And no, look at that offensive line. Watch the game in and game out what they're doing. They're not creating holes in the run game, and they're certainly not pass protecting. And that Rams defense showed last year, certainly showed my Seattle Seahawks what happens when you got a Swiss cheese for an offensive line. Doesn't matter how good your quarterback is. It's going to get him neutralized, and it's going to get him under duress. And with CJ Stroud, he's not ultra mobile. He's not a guy that's going to be able to move every which way but loose to get out of that pressure. Really worried for the CJ Stroud in this game, and it's kind of surprising everybody goes with the Texans on this one because of that. I mean, maybe they're just not trusting in Stafford's health. I will be watching with Stafford, like Jesse mentioned, and you watch these older quarterbacks. It doesn't seem like it's their arm strength that goes. But it is the two things. It's they get injured more often and their mobility goes. Go look at Aaron Rodgers over there with the Steelers. It looks like he's out there running around on stilts in practice, just completely slowed down. Is Stafford going to have the same thing where last year there were times it seems like he was struggling to get to outside zone handoffs? So can he, be mobile enough to get around that pressure and still be, locked in and able to get it going? Derek Stingley's out there, one of the finest corners in the game. So he's going to be able to take care of one of those really top end receivers for the Rams. And then you've got Petrie there in the nickel, and there's a nickel back there. Really good nickel safety guy comes in there. Maybe he's matched up on Puka once he goes into the slot. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Rams do with that. I do think a little bit like Jesse said, it's going to come down to who runs the ball better. And with the Texans, remember, they're not going to have Joe Mixon for this game. So does Nick Chubb got anything left in the tank? Are those knees got after multiple reconstructive surgeries with college and the pros? Is there anything left there? Any juice left? Because they're going to need it.
That is a great point you make, too, especially when it comes down to the run game. We know the Rams are probably going to have the edge in this one with Joe Mixon banged up. Mike, swing it down to you. Great matchup here. Could really set the tone in both conferences in terms of who ends up getting this W. How do you look at Rams versus Texans this Sunday?
Yeah, the thing about going third, right, is I echo what Brandon and Jesse both said. I mean, this is going to be a fascinating, exciting matchup here to start the season for the Rams and the Texans. I'm a little shocked that it did go, 3-1 when it comes down to the Texans winning over the Rams. But I mean, when it really comes down to this, something I guess that they didn't mention, I'm actually more excited to see what these wide receivers are going to do. I mean, obviously Nico Collins, they completely I'm not saying upgraded, but they changed it, right? Like obviously Tank Dell's still recovering. You got Christian Kirk, you brought in Jaden Higgins, as well as was it Jalen Knoll as well. So I'm kind of curious to figure out if CJ Stroud is going to be able to use those weapons. But let's be real, the offensive line needs to hold up, and we do got really good defenses on both sides of the ball when it comes down to it. And I am curious to see what Nick Chubb's going to be able to do, right? Joe Mixon, there was kind of rumors out there that he's going to start, or there was this murkiness that kind of going around it. But I'm excited about Nick Chubb. Let's see if he's going to be able to kind of revive his career here with the Texans. But just going to really depend if they make holes for him at the end of the day. The Rams got a really good defense over there as well. So of course, without the big storylines of the back of Stafford, it's all just going to really depend on what happens in this game. Now, of course, if either team starts off 0-1, it's not the end of the season, but this is going to be a very fascinating matchup. I do think it's going to be a defensive matchup as well. Very low scoring, maybe like 17-13, something along those realms, but I'm excited to see what this matchup is going to hold for week one.
Jake, Mike's got he's got a real low scoring, real defensive oriented battle here. How do you see this one between your Rams and the Houston Texans?
Yeah, so the problem with the Texans for me is that, I love what CJ Stroud brings just, as a player. I really like watching him. They got plenty of weapons. Nico Collins, I'm really excited to see him. Hopefully he can stay healthy. They don't have Tank Dell, but you got both guys that I wanted from Iowa State. I think most of us wanted Jalen Knoll and Jaden Higgins. My thing with the Texans is they don't have Joe Mixon in this one. And I love that Brandon brought up. We don't know what is Nick Chubb in 2025. Because, I mean, if Nick Chubb goes back to being Nick Chubb, then yeah, he could be a problem. But it's not even just that for me. This offensive line looks absolutely horrendous on paper. Horrendous, right? And Ursery is a rookie. He's starting over Cam Robinson, it sounds like. Titus Howard's going to play right tackle. I don't really like this offensive line at all. I don't. Laken Tomlinson had his moments, but he's not very good anymore. I don't like this offensive line at all. If Cam Robinson plays, it's going to be a bloodbath because we saw what Jared Verse did to him in the Viking game. As far as the defense, they added Sheldon Rankins, but that defense, like that defensive line, they couldn't stop a nosebleed in the run game. I did not like their run defense. Obviously, they have two edge defenders, and I call them edge defenders because they both can, do a nice job of setting the edge and stopping the run, which is big because Kyron Williams does like to bounce it out. But he has those inside runs that they're going to utilize, and I think the Rams are going to be able to run the ball in this game. I think they're going to have play action. I have a lot of respect for, the team that the Texans have built. I think the defense is really good aside from the trenches. I don't necessarily love the defensive line outside the edge guys, but I'll tell you right now, I think this is going to be very similar to the game we saw the Rams-Bears in 2021 when Matthew Stafford kind of let everybody know, okay, yeah, they are a problem. I think the Rams have been building up. They're a pressure cooker right now. They haven't really been able to utilize the offense that they wanted to. A lot of issues there. Injury. Puka Nacua goes down in the second quarter of the game against the Lions. I think they're going to air this thing out, but I think it's going to be utilized, of course, starting with the run game. I think they're going to be able to run against the Texans, operate play action. I think Devontae Adams is going to be really hard to defend. Jordan Whittington, Tutu Atwell, Puka Nacua all in unison. They have Tyler Higbee, which they didn't last year. I think a big component to their offense is, of course, the tight end. And Colby Parkinson never really stepped up in that role last year. So I love the offensive line. The defense is going to get after them. I'm expecting the Rams to win this one 30-20. I don't think this is going to be a defensive battle. And I could be wrong. It is week 1, but there's a lot of built-up frustration still with a lot of guys that are on this team from that Eagles game. And I wouldn't be surprised to just see them kind of go all out week 1. I am expecting them to take shots down the field. Don't be surprised if that's what they do.
Jake expecting a far higher scoring game than Mike. We'll see what ends up happening there. It is two good defenses, but obviously both offenses have the firepower as well. All right, let's get into it. Let's preview it. It's the battle of the hat. It's the game that everybody's had circled the entire offseason. It's the Niners. It's the Seahawks in front of the 12s out in Seattle, 4:05 Eastern. On Sunday, this should be a good one. It doesn't get better in week 1 than interdivisional football. Mike, I'll start with you. These are the two teams setting the tone for this division. How do you preview Niners versus Hawks?
Well, I mean, it's going to be a division matchup. I mean, you never know. It's kind of a coin toss when it comes down to anybody who plays anybody in this division. So I'm excited about this matchup as well. I think it's a really good matchup for obviously not me and the Cardinals, but for you guys to kind of obviously have a 0-1 start. But yeah, this is going to be a really fascinating matchup. Now, the Seattle Seahawks, I think we mentioned this before. The defense, I'm really high on their defense. I think the defense, we saw it firsthand for the Cardinals. They absolutely have been sweeping us for a very long time. But I think they have a really good underrated defense over there. No, maybe not underrated anymore, but a really good, solid defense over there. I'm so curious to figure out how this offense is going to operate. Now, we're not going to be making those, jumping, Sam Darnold only threw for 180 yards, 1 touchdown. Like maybe some people will kind of, blow it out of proportion, but I'm curious to figure out how this offense is going to be running with Sam Darnold. Like that's the biggest unknown to me. Now, you brought in Cooper Kupp, and if he's able to stay healthy, still a really good wide receiver, and then obviously JSN. So I'm curious to figure out what this wide receiving core is going to look like, and just the offense in general. So curious about that. And then on the other side of the coin with the 49ers, although yes, you got those names, they're names that were very, very good. And I'm not saying they're not good still, but these are guys that are aging and they're, they're getting up there in age. Now, obviously Kittle's still doing it with the very best of them, but like that's another thing, right? Is Purdy going to be able to do it with when you don't got Debo, right? When you don't got Ayuk out there, right? Yeah, you're going to have George Kittle, but he's getting up there in age. Now, I still do think he's going to have, close to 1,000, if not over 1,000 yards. I'm talking about Kittle, but these are a lot of kind of unknown factors, which I'm really excited to see this game's going to turn out. But I see this division matchup as kind of a medium scoring game. I don't think anybody's going to hit somewhere in the 30s, but it's definitely somewhere like 24-20. Like it's going to probably be a one scoring game because you never know at the end of the day. I think this is so fascinating to see how the Seattle Seahawks, specifically on the offensive side of the ball, is going to be able to kind of work on that defense for the 49ers. So we're not giving predictions right now, obviously, but yeah, I'm excited about this matchup.
I am too, and you nailed it. One of the more exciting elements, of course, is the debut of Sam Darnold with these Seattle Seahawks. We'll see what he looks like out in Seattle, and his first matchup, of course, is against one of their bitter rivals. Jake, up to you here. How do you view this Week 1 battle between the Niners and the Seattle Seahawks?
Well, when in doubt, you go with the team that's at home, right? So I'm going to go with the Seahawks. I really like the Seahawks in this one. And look, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a really close game, comes down to the wire. These two teams obviously hate each other just like any team in this division. But I think it's going to come down to the fact that Seattle is willing to play more of a managed style game. They're not going to have Sam Darnold throwing 50 times in this one. So I think, we're going to see them be able to run the football with that, improved offensive line. I think that defense looks really good. I'm really curious to see what Cooper Kupp looks like because I think he showed some signs last year. He's definitely declining, but he still had over 100 yards against the Lions in Week 1. He had the big game against the Patriots, so he can still make plays. But JSN, I'm expecting to step into stardom this year. Like this is going to be one of the better receivers in football, I believe. So hopefully he doesn't let me down on that one. But no, I just think right now, the 49ers, it feels like there's a lot of question marks there with the injuries and such. But yeah, I like the Seahawks in this one. And I wouldn't, rule out the 49ers from winning the next game. So it's not like anything like where I see Seattle just sweeping them outright. But yeah, Seattle's a good team. And, the 49ers, they got that easier schedule, and I think that has a lot of people, talking about them and excited about them and why they're favorited in a lot of books. But I just think that there's a lot of question marks. I still don't love their offensive line. I know that they have Trent Williams, and of course I love Dominic Pooney, but I don't love their offensive line. I've said it over and over again. I don't think McKivitz is a good right tackle. I think they have the worst starting center in the National Football League. But I guess it really does depend on what Christian McCaffrey are we going to see this year. He can absolutely change a game on a dime, but at the same time, I think he's also shown signs of decline. So I think it'll be a close one, but yeah, I got Seattle in this one.
Brandon, I'm going to start with you. I have to honor the code on here of finishing in order, or going with the order, rather, of how we finished last year. That's how we've been doing things. And you did finish above Jesse's Niners last year, did your Hawks. So I'm going to start with you here. And I know how much this means to you. I know you are not currently shopping for Niners hats at the moment. You are waiting to see what Jesse ends up donning this time next week. So how do we get there? Preview this game for me. Talk to me.
Well, thank you. That's a good reminder, Z-Bot. Jesse, what's your head size?
Can we go with a snapback and make it easy?
Oh, no. We got to fit this thing, make it harder for you to discard. I think this is going to be a close matchup. And I do think that these kind of division matchups are just this way in general terms more often than not when you got a pretty balanced field as far as the injury concern goes. Getting Juwan Jennings back late is going to help the Niners because I think that would change the complexity of this game in a major way. I would not trust that receiving core to even get through this game as it stood. Already down Ayuk, already know Debo Samuel. Yeah, Kittle can still be effective in what he does. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey, you can lean on him heavily, and we know Lyle likes to lean on McCaffrey, doesn't he? Ride that horse. So it's going to be tough as far as that goes, but I do think that there's a little bit of this where they are walking in, if not with a limp, they do have a little bit of a hitch in their giddy up. To the Niners. You have some key injuries at spots, the running back position, which caused them to have to go get Brian Robinson in a trade because that got knocked down. Your receiving core being leaned out as it still kind of is, even as you're walking into this game. Hopefully you get by with the parasol. Hopefully Juwan Jennings can play all game. How effective is he going to be missing a whole training camp? It's not talked a lot about here, but they've got 3 rookies they're going to be giving significant snaps on that defensive line. And rookie defensive linemen, not remove the Niners from this, remove most teams from this. Guys that aren't like top, taken in the top 5 or 6 or 7 or whatnot, tend to take a year to kind of develop. And expecting 3 guys to give you productivity right out the gate on the road in Seattle, I think this is going to make this a tall task. Add on top of it, you've flipped out Dre Greenlaw now for a different linebackers. 6th rounder Winters is in there, and he's been okay, but that's definitely a downgrade. Hufunga's gone. You've flipped both your safeties around with Mustafa gone too now, essentially. So I just look at this as much of, on the surface of it, it's the injuries and them coming in not at their best health, walking into this, also in on the road with a very hyped up Seahawks team that's feeling strong about themselves. A little bit another under the radar story of this preseason, Z-Bot, was that Sam Darnold only had 4 passing attempts. He basically had like 1 drive this whole preseason. That's a new quarterback in a brand new system on this new team. You would tend to think that if that guy was struggling in practice or the team was seeing the old Sam Darnold, that they would be giving him a lot more run in the preseason to make them feel a lot more warm and fuzzy about the situation with him, but they didn't. Instead, they put him on ice. They felt like he was good to go. I still think that speaks to their confidence, and that speaks to, I think, also they feel like this running game is going to go. So I really break it down as far as, at least on the surface side. I don't like to lead with injuries necessarily, Z-Bot, but look, I think even Jesse's going to acknowledge they're not walking into this anywhere near full strength. Aside from that, Saleh coming back to the Niners just on a kind of an X's and O's part of this. Mike McDonald has played the Niners 3 times in recent years as far as defensive coordinator, once with the Ravens, twice with the Niners last year. First time, he had the stack boxes, and second time, stack boxes amount up around 20% over the course of the game. Pretty heavy amount of usage, but not over the top. He dialed that back in the second game against the Niners in that third matchup, but then drew up the blitz level hugely. So he was just bringing the house a lot more. And I wonder if that's the same kind of recipe he's going to try to use on Purdy again this game, which is just more blitzing, but not necessarily out of the stack box front. And then the flip side, defensively, Robert Saleh is a guy that's not like to tend to flip his coverages and do a lot of blitzing, historically speaking. Now, Jesse's going to bring up the fact that he was, 13th in his blitz rate last year, but the prior year he was 31st. And I kind of wonder if he maybe blitzed a little bit more last year out of necessity because he couldn't trust his front 4 to get it done. I don't know if that necessarily means he's going to embrace that. And if he comes in here with this particular offense, not flipping the coverages, and then not being able to create his pass rush with his front 4 and then having to blitz, I think it's going to be a tough day for the Niners overall. At the end of the day, we're going to probably have just too many edges on this that is going to allow us to win. And Jesse to wear a magnificent hat next week.
I think I know where Brandon's leaning. Let's see where Jesse's leaning. Talk to me, Jesse. How do you view this? I know Brandon laid it out real well, but talk to me more on the Niners side of things. Obviously, the good point Brandon brings up, Robert Saleh, back with your Niners, looking to get that defense back to a level where he was at when he was with this team, and that's a Super Bowl level defense going up against Sam Darnold. So preview this one for me. It's Hawks, it's Niners to kick things off. What's it look like in your mind week 1?
Well, I had to adjust the mic here. I mean, we're talking hats, so I just wanted to make sure that I brought all the ones out. I mean, there's so many options for you, Brandon, that we could
No,
get.
you'll be looking at them longingly next week. You'll be like, I remember when I got to wear those hats. I remember when I wasn't required contractually to not be able to wear these hats anymore.
Anyways, we got plenty of hats for you, so we'll figure that out later. But yes, this game is going to be super interesting. As I said last week, Seattle is one of those teams that I don't know what to expect from them. I can see them doing what they always do, which is finish 9-8, but I could also see them go on this magnificent run. And it really comes down to the offensive line and then those running backs. Can the running backs stay healthy? Do they actually have the running lanes that they've deserved for all these years? Is Gray's able the missing piece to what they've needed? They're from left to right. They go first round pick, UDFA, 4th round pick, 3rd round pick. They have put a ton of assets into that offensive line. They've had good individual play. They've had a lot of injuries, but for whatever reason, that offensive line just has not come together. Is this the year that it finally happens? They certainly are trying to make that be the case. And if it is, the Seahawks are extremely dangerous because now they have an offensive coordinator that loves to run the ball, loves to use play action. That's going to help Sam Darnold a whole heck of a ton. It's also going to help those receivers get open. And I think that's what their season comes down to. I know their defense is going to be really good. There's a lot of really good players on that defense, and McDonald is a wizard. You know, the one thing that Shanahan loves to do, he loves to use motion and shifts. And one thing we know about McDonald is he is the most prepared defensive coordinator in the NFL when it comes to those. He's got a plan for every movement that you make. The way that he changes pictures on quarterbacks pre to post snap, and then if you shift in motion to try to get those easy looks, he's going to show you things that you think you see and put you in a blender. So that's going to be interesting to see. The matchup to me that I am most curious about, though, is the 49ers defensive line versus the Seahawks offensive line. Once again, is that Seahawks offensive line revamped? Are they as good as advertised in the preseason? And the 49ers have put a lot of assets into their defensive line, but with young players, and we know that young players sometimes can take a while to get up to speed. I don't know who out of those guys, if any, are going to start, but they will play heavy in the rotation. That matchup is going to decide this game. Can those guys get home? Can they stop the run? That's going to be the key to this game, in my opinion. Seahawks offensive line, 49ers defensive line, whoever wins that matchup wins this game.
Oh, baby, I cannot wait for that one. That is going to be a hell of a way to kick off the season, the Battle of the Hat. And, of course, next week we'll see somebody rocking a hat they wish they weren't after that one comes to its conclusion. All right, so we've previewed the games. Now let's talk about what we could expect from an individual player in each one of these games. And to do that, we're going to use our friends over at Sleeper as I pull them up right now. By the way, Sleeper is now the new proud sponsor of the NFC West Roundtable. And I'm sure you've heard of them before. In fact, the boys were hearing the buttons going off in the background prior to the start of tonight's show, finishing up my last fantasy draft on Sleeper. And I'm sure many of you have used Sleeper in the past for fantasy.
30-second one.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, it was on a 30-second timer towards the end. So whoever I wound up with when we started, that's in God's hands now. But everything on here can be in your hands when you're using the picks section of Sleeper. You know all about the fantasy element, I'm sure, but Sleeper has so much more than that. Sleeper is a fantasy sports and real money gaming app focused on bringing people together through sports and gaming with over 6 million active users since 2023. And Sleeper Picks is Sleeper's skill-based fantasy game that you can get in on before each and every game. And that's what we're about to do here. So we're going to do each one of these games and have each creator pick one of the elements or one of the more or lesses rather for each game for their team. So we're going to start things off with the Cardinals going against the Saints. Mike, we got James Conner, more or less 69.5 rushing yards. Kyler Murray, more or less 25.5 rushing yards. There's a million different things on here, but is there anything that comes to mind for you that you think we should lock in?
I say Trey McBride, whatever the hell his receptions is, you go over. You go over,
right,
man. He's going to be fed.
So Mike likes Trey McBride more on 63.5 receiving yards. So we'll add that to our sleeper picks. Now let's go over to San Francisco and Seattle.
Can
Brandon,
we go more on the Sam Darnold picks? Where's that at?
Ooh.
Is that
take a pick.
They didn't put it up because they know it's not going to happen. So
they got Darnold right here.
No would bet on this.
206.5 rushing yards, more or less, Brandon. Do you like that, or do you like something else for your Hawks?
I've been on the Kenneth Walker Express train, choo woo woo, let's go. I would take that all day in this game. I think that you're going to have a little bit of a two-headed attack a bit, but this team knows what Walker can do, and you're finally, for the first time since he's gotten here, giving him holes. You're going to. It's not every time he gets the ball. It's just that it's going to be so much more at a higher frequency than where it's been, which has been nil, nothing, nada, zero almost. So he's going to go off. I think even if he doesn't get 100 yards, he'll at least get to 70, 75 in this game.
So that's got to mean you're loving more than 58.5 yards for Kenneth Walker. So we'll put that one in for Brandon. Jesse, how about you on the Niners end of things?
Do we have any CMC touchdowns?
Ooh, let's take a peek. I'm sure we do. Rush touchdown, CMC. There it is.
Anytime. Give me an anytime.
It's just an empty bed. It's only
Go back real quick. There was an anytime.
Oh, you want the anytime? Okay, we'll go to the hot, which I'm sure
he might
there
get
you
receiving as well.
Yep.
Yeah, give me the more on that one.
Yeah, so Sleeper has a hot section, and what do you know? The hottest take on this entire thing for this game is CMC anytime touchdown. That's old reliable right there. That's old faithful. Jesse putting in More than a half on anytime touchdown for CMC. All right, let's go over and close things out with the Rams going against Houston. What's one thing we can look out for here, Jake, that we should put into our pick slip here?
And Devontae Adams anytime touchdown.
Ooh, over Kyron?
Back shoulder fade.
Was Stingley? Was Stingley there?
Oh, they've been dying for this.
Okay.
So you're saying the Devontae Adams coming out party is going to be early?
It'll be every week.
Ooh, wow.
I'm higher on him than Puka Nacua. I mean, everyone's like, oh, who would you draft? I was like, why are you taking Puka Nacua before Devontae Adams?
So you really think this is the year that we remember who Devontae Adams is?
Yeah, I mean, I watched that film at the end of last year when Aaron Rodgers was just having fun playing with his guy. And you could see Devontae Adams, if he's lost a step, you have to get a microscope to find it because he is the same dude. He is that dude. That Jaguars game was very telling. You could say, oh, well, it was the Jaguars. Well, it was the freaking Jets, right?
Right.
He looked really good. And the thing about the Rams is that they were the 22nd red zone offense last year, and Devontae Adams is a back shoulder fade savant. And the Rams just throw back shoulder fades to guys who can't catch back shoulder fades. So now they have a guy who can actually do that, but then also he's going to get open. They're going to use him with Atwell and Nacua and the run game. I'm telling you, if as long as health, right? You can say that about anybody. If Devontae Adams stays healthy, he is going to lead the league in touchdowns receiving.
Whoa. So you're feeling good about this? Might as well put it in. And everybody out there listening, when you get in on Sleeper, Jake just gave you the reason why you should like Devontae Adams more than a half on anytime touchdown. So Devontae Adams to get in. So that's our slip right here. We'll view our entry. We got Trey McBride, more than 63.5 receiving yards. Kenneth Walker, more than 58.5 rush yards. And a CMC and Devontae Adams anytime touchdown. That slip that we built, fellas, would nearly 10x our entry. So $100.
If you want to add Kyron scoring, you could do that too.
Jake just wants to go nuts on this. We could go crazy. I mean, you really could too, by the way. You could add as
week
much
one,
as you,
baby.
Yeah, week one. You can add as many as you'd like in here and build up that payout.
Texans defense at all. He's not scared in the least.
Well, not that run defense.
Bernie Mac, I ain't scared of you.
Well, hey, if you want to get in on this, you want to take Jake on Devontae Adams or any of the other picks with this slip, do so on Sleeper. Links in the description below. And the promo code RTS will get you a 100% deposit match. So use the promo code RTS. You'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. That's a really fun way to make week one even more exciting. So take advantage. All right, so we have our previews locked in. Now you know what time it is. It's time to lock the picks in. Everybody's been given our reason as to why we should feel a certain way on a game. But now it's time to put our money where our mouth is and lock in why those reasons are going to result in either W's or L's. So let's start with the first game within the division, the one we first previewed to start the show off, and that's Cardinals versus Saints. I was getting a good vibe from everybody around the table, but let's see if we have a sweep on our hands. Jake, I'll start with you. It's Cardinals, it's Saints. Who wins it and why?
The Cardinals, although I'll tell you, if the Saints actually wanted to win this year, they are a quarterback away from being pretty decent. They got a good roster. I like Rattler. I don't like him this much, though. And I think the Cardinals have too much. It's week one, so anything can happen. And again, like I mentioned, the Saints scored like 40 points in 3 straight games last year. So it is a reminder that literally anything can happen in the NFL. But I'm going to take the Cardinals to win in New Orleans 24-13.
Cardinals to beat the Saints to kick off the year. Brandon, are you feeling the same, or could an upset be on our hands here?
I think that there's definitely still a potential, as Jake said, that there's a dangerousness to the Saints in the respect of last year. They started out so hot because they were so healthy, partly because you had Kubiak, who we now have, which you no longer have. But I think this just comes down to me, I feel like Kellen Moore kind of fell into this job because the Saints didn't have any real better options. And I feel like they've kind of fallen into Rattler's the starting quarterback because Schock wasn't able to do it and they didn't have better options. And that's at the end of the day going to carry the day in this particular matchup. Cardinals win running away 27-13.
Ooh, so we got a 2-touchdown dub for Mike's Cardinals from Brandon. Jesse, how are you feeling about this one? Week 1, Cardinals Saints, who wins it?
Well, I hate to completely agree with Brandon, who I obviously disagree on our matchup on, but I have the same exact score, 27-13. I think the Cardinals win this one easily. Again, their defense is going to show up. That defensive line is going to give the Saints offensive line fits. And that's what's interesting about the Saints is they used to have one of the better offensive lines in football, and everybody like left or retired early on them. It's just not a good offensive line anymore. And that defensive front is going to run wild. So I think that Spencer Rattler is going to be in for some trouble. There might even be a defensive score there. And 27-13, I don't know if you watch the flow of the game, I don't think it'll even feel that close, but I expect that the Cardinals win this one pretty handily.
Mike, it's in your hands, and I have to imagine you're making it a clean sweep for us. Tell us why and tell us what the final score is for your Cardinals against the Saints.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at this matchup here, that the Cardinals should be running away with this game. I mean, I would love to see a 2-touchdown win from the Arizona Cardinals. That's exactly what they need to do. They need to go to New Orleans and take their lunch money. That's exactly what they need to do. So, I mean, I see the exact same way. I mean, I think James Conner is going to have himself a game. I feel like the Cardinals are going to use this game, obviously the very first game of the season, but an opportunity to get this offense the reps that they probably should have gotten a little bit more in preseason, but now it matters, right? These are the reps that are going to really matter. We got to get the connection down with, Marvin Harrison Jr. down to that 100% or at least the 90% mark. Because I think right now they're probably around the 82, 85%. Like there's still the, little bit miscommunication here and there. But I think the Cardinals are going to absolutely run away with this game. I'm going to say 31-13.
A clean sweep, and everybody thinks it's going to happen in pretty easy fashion. The Cardinals start off 1-0 in week 1, according to the fellas here on the NFC West Roundtable. Now let's get into that really exciting outer conference battle here. Texans Rams, really one of the better games on the slate. And like I mentioned earlier, has a really good chance to set the tone in terms of the conferences here, because both of these teams are going to be vying for the top of it at some point throughout the season. So Jesse, I'll start with you here. It's the Rams taking on the Texans, 4:25 Eastern, and it's at home for LA. How do you see this one going down and why?
Yeah, I think this one's going to be pretty low scoring. I think early on in seasons, a lot of times defenses are ahead of the offenses, and I expect that to be the case here. But ultimately, the Rams are at home. Ultimately, the Rams have the better offensive line. And both of these teams have very, very good defensive lines, good overall defenses. Mixon not playing, this is a big deal. Unless the game plan for the Texans is to use the short pass game, go horizontal, use that as an extension of the run game, which is probably going to have to happen. They've got a lot of weapons in that receiving core. I mean, Christian Kirk's a decent receiver, and he's not even talked about at this point. So they have weapons over there. They certainly do. But will CJ Stroud have time? This is about as big of a test as you can get week 1 for a new formed offensive line in Houston. So I'm going to go with the Rams to win a tight one. I'm going to go 23-20 Rams.
Ooh, a tight one, somewhat low scoring, but definitely a great game would be on our hands if we get a 23-20 game. Jesse has it going to the Rams. Mike, I'll go back to you here. Who's winning this one, Rams or the Texans in week 1?
Yeah, so I mean, I mentioned this before. I think this is definitely going to be a defensive battle. Offenses usually take a little bit to kind of get there, and these are both good teams. Like these are playoff teams that are going to hit the playoffs, right? As long as everybody's going to be able to stay healthy, primarily, Matthew Stafford. But I think the defense, there's going to be a defensive player making a play when maybe like a fumble return or maybe like a pick 6 or something like that. I have this game around like 17-13, somewhere around there, or 17-10. I'm gonna lean on the Texans here, man. I'm gonna go. Texans are gonna win this game, 17-13.
You're a man of your word. You said earlier it was going to be low scoring. Low scoring is exactly what you went with. Was it 17-10 or 17-13?
17-13.
17-13, man. Only 13 points for the Rams at home in week 1. I know Jake will have something to say about that in a second. But Brandon, what do you have to say about it now? What do you think about the Rams taking on the Texans this Sunday?
If you're going to take down the Rams, you better be able to run the football. and you better be able to control their pass rush. And I don't think that the Texans are going to be able to do either of those consistently. I don't think, despite some of our conjecture about what Nick Chubb might be able to do, I don't think he's going to get anywhere back to prime Nick Chubb, nor do I think they're going to open up holes there in the running game for them to be able to do enough. I think that the Rams win this 24-17. I think, though, it's a fairly comfortable game where it's like the Texans mount sort of a fourth quarter comeback. My Seattle Seahawks learned what happens when you have a good skill position players on the outside, but you can't pass protect and you can't run the ball particularly well. It doesn't end particularly good for your offense. And I think, unfortunately, the Texans are set up with the vulnerabilities that the Rams can take advantage of.
Wow. So we have two predictions for the Rams. We do have Mike being the lone wolf here, who's got the Texans pulling this one off in a very low-scoring matchup. Jake, I know you're feeling confident. What does that confidence look like on Sunday? What happens between the Rams and the Texans?
Yeah, well, shout out to Jesse and Brandon for not doing the wishful thinking prediction like Mike just did. We all know 17-13 is absolutely insane. Love you, Mike. So the Rams are going to win this game 30-20. I think Brandon is really kind of where I was going with that, is that I think this is going to be like, it's a good game, but I think the Rams are going to control this game, and he knows the Rams so well with that late fourth quarter comeback. Obviously the Seahawks did that in Seattle until a DeMarcus Robinson touchdown. But no, I think that this is going to be a fun game to watch for anybody that's not a fan of the two teams. But I do think the Rams will control this game. I think they are the better team. I do have issues with the Houston defense being able to stop the run. I don't ever see that brought up, but I do not like their defensive line. I love their pass rush, and I think their secondary is going to be stout. But I also just don't think this is a good matchup for them. This is an offense that's going to be able to, really kind of stretch out the offense, right? You have all sorts of receivers, guys that offer different things. I think they're going to have to respect Tutu Atwell's speed, which will obviously open up things over the middle underneath to a Puka Nacua, a Jordan Whittington, and then you have Devontae Adams, who obviously is going to be more than a red zone threat, but I think that's going to be his real standout performance there. I think it's going to come in the red zone this year, and they'll be able to run with Kyron, Blake Corum, whoever they want to run with, right? Jarquez Hunter. So offensive line's better, defensive line is better. I think the Texans are likely going to win that division, but in week one, I think they fall to the Rams 30-20.
3 check marks for the Rams. Once again, Mike, the lone wolf. We'll see who ends up getting that one right next week when we talk about what went down in week one. All right, it's time to put our hats where our mouths are, folks. It's the battle of the hat, and it's time to predict who's going to be wearing the other team's colors when this one is finished. We have the Niners. We have the Seahawks in week one this upcoming Sunday. Mike, going to start with you. Who wins this interdivision battle on Sunday afternoon?
I mean, well, I think I mentioned this when we were talking about the preview here. I think what I'm going to lean on here, and I know this is Seattle at home. I'm going for a little recency bias and kind of looking at, the wins and losses. And I know there's completely different teams. But when I look at the running backs, I'll take a healthy CMC over Walker. And then Purdy over Sam Darnold. So I'm gonna go 49ers. I'm gonna say the upset, because I know everybody on this panel, with the exception of probably Jesse, is probably gonna go Seahawks. So I'm gonna go 49ers here in this game. I'm gonna say division matchup. I will say 27-24. 49ers.
Ooh. All right, we got a good game on our hands according to Mike, and the Niners start off 1-0. Jake, what are your thoughts here on this one? We got the Niners, we got the Seahawks. Mike, he got the Niners coming out. This is one of their tougher games, according to everybody who thinks their schedule is the biggest cakewalk in the world. So if they get this one, who knows what the future holds? Do they get it, though? Are you with Mike, or is Seattle taking this one in week one?
No, I think Seattle takes this one. I think a big reason is because of Kubiak. I think there's going to be a great game plan there. They're not going to overdo it with Sam Darnold. They're going to keep him probably around or below the 40 pass attempts in this one. They're going to run the football with a good run game and an improved offensive line. I really like what they did addressing the offensive line this offseason. And so I think that's going to put the 49ers in a tough spot. And, ultimately, I like Seattle winning this. They're at home. I don't necessarily think the Niners are way below Seattle, but going into the season, The 49ers are not fully healthy yet. I like where Seattle is currently, and I think Seattle is going to get off to a good start this season. So give me the Seahawks at home. I'm, again, very curious to see what Cooper Kupp does, but I think it's going to be really hard to stop JSN in this one.
JSN catching the ball from Sam Darnold in his debut, and Jake's got Darnold winning that debut over the Niners. Brandon, you're up. Talk to me. Battle of the Hat. Is Jesse going to be wearing those beautiful colors behind you next week when this one's finished?
Oh, he will be with a big old frown that we can't turn upside down, because my Seattle Seahawks are ready to roll. This has been a great training camp. You had full off-season participation in your non-mandatory mini camps. The vets are all in. This team is ready to cook. Niners on the other side, the vibes are not good. And if you are pro-Niner here, you're kind of saying not only the Niners a little bit better than the Seahawks, but they can lose Jarius Ward. They can lose Hufanga. They can lose Dre Greenlaw. They can start basically 3 rookies on the defensive line out there. They can lose Brandon Ayuk. They can have Jawan Jennings come back a week before the start of the first game to just start practicing, and McCaffrey at his age with his mileage still to be as strong as ever, and yet we would still lose at home. I just don't buy it when you put all those factors into it, on top of the fact that this team has continually been moving the past couple of years in the right direction. Jake mentioned 40 attempts for Darnold. I think they're going to try to get under 30 attempts for Darnold in this game. In fact, I think both teams are going to run the ball heavily here. You're going to see a shrunken down game that really comes down to really low scoring. But I think my Seahawks are going to take it on the back of a 20-13 win here, where the Niners are just not at full strength, and not just kind of quasi so. It's kind of to a fairly large degree, considering this is game 1, while Seattle on the other side walks into this almost fully healthy. We're down like our 3rd string running back. The Niners are down like almost all their running backs, save for Brian Robinson and McCaffrey.
Low scoring one you got for us, Brandon. 13 points for your Niners, Jesse. Says Brando, leaning on a W for Seattle behind Sam Darnold, 20-13. All right, Jesse, talk to me. What happens in this one? Are you predicting that you're going to have the hat all the way out on the West Coast for Brandon, or are you the one who's going to be dodging the bullet here? Who's winning this game between San Francisco and Seattle?
Yeah, I'm not wearing a Seahawks hat. That's not going to happen. So not too worried about that part. But no, listen, when I made this bet and when I looked at the season schedule, I had the 49ers sweeping the Seahawks. I have to admit that as things have gone, the draft happened and free agency, and just as everything is kind of unwinded with how the 49ers are and health and all these things, this game does worry me, and I have a healthy respect for Seattle. I always have. In fact, I feel like I've over-respected them the last couple of years. I thought they would be better, much better the last 2 years than what they ended up being. And I said early this offseason, I'm not doing it again. You got to finally show me. But here we are again, and I'm looking at it going, I could see this team really making a lot of noise. The roster is so put together. They've done such a good job of building that team. But Sam Darnold, I don't really care what he did with the Vikings. Sam Darnold has been a turnover machine his whole entire career, dating back to college. Like, this is what he does. And if there's a defensive coordinator that can give him trouble, it's going to be Robert Saleh. And I bank on that eventually being a decider in this game. I really could see a scenario where the Seahawks are driving, they just need a field goal to win, and then Sam Darnold gets sacked and fumbles because Nick Bosa gets a hold of him. I don't trust Sam Darnold at all, and I do trust Brock Purdy. Like, there is a floor with Brock Purdy that is a very comfortable one, and I just feel like with CMC being in place, George Kittle, they're going to get him out on more routes than we've ever seen. I don't know if George Kittle's going to have the best year of his career, but I truly think that the 49ers are going to try to make that happen the best way that they can. They are going to force feed George Kittle a lot. And Brock Purdy with CMC versus without CMC is 2 completely different players. Hell, Jimmy Garoppolo with CMC versus without CMC was 2 completely different players. CMC in the pass game is an absolute nightmare, and he is that comfort blanket for all quarterbacks. I just think that ultimately I trust Brock Purdy more than I do Sam Darnold. And I think in a game that's going to be low scoring, defenses are going to win a lot of these drives on both sides. Quarterback's going to have to make a play. And I trust Brock Purdy to do that more than I do Sam Darnold. I think it's going to be extremely close. I think it's going to be very low scoring. I'm going 17-16 Niners.
Ooh, so you have different predictions on the winner, but low scoring is the prediction for both you and Brandon. Man, oh man, I can't wait for that one. I can't wait for all of them, but that is certainly going to be one we have circled and one we can't wait to talk about next week. So the predictions are locked in. We're a little over an hour into the show, which means it's time for the best time of the show, Super Chat time. But before we get to it, real quick shout out to my friends over at RotoWire. As I mentioned just a couple of minutes ago, got my last fantasy draft in. You're going to have to get yours in, too, if you want to be playing fantasy football in 2025, because you only have one more day before things kick off on Thursday. If that is you, if you waited to the last minute, which I know plenty of people do, make sure that you're using RotoWire before you dive into your draft. On your screen here, you can see one of the many fantasy tools that RotoWire has for you to use. And what I love the most about this are these beautiful player cards that give you everything you need to know about every single player on the board. That way, you know exactly what you're getting, when to draft your guy, who to stay away from, you name it, RotoWire has it. And it's not just for fantasy, by the way. They have you covered for everything throughout the year. Waiver wire guys when you need to pick something up for fantasy. But beyond that, of course, tons of information on props, betting markets, everything you could want throughout the year is on RotoWire with a premium subscription. You can get 15% off that premium subscription using the promo code RTS. Just click the link in the bio. RTS is the promo code, 15% off that premium subscription. One more house cleaning item. I just got some info confirmed for our big event that is literally 1 month from the day. We are literally a month out from Niners Rams Thursday night football at SoFi, the first ever NFC West live event. And it gets even better because we're not just going to the game. We're not just hanging out. We're doing some live action at a restaurant down the street. We just locked this in, just got it confirmed. We are doing free food at a restaurant just a mile down the road from SoFi, and we're going to be doing a live show at that restaurant. So the ticket you've already purchased, there's nothing else you have to do. The ticket you've already purchased is going to get you in to that live show at the restaurant with free food. So we just confirmed that. So the event of the year, fellas, gets even better. And if you haven't locked that in, very, very few left, and you have very little time left to do it. So if you're still on the fence, get it done now. That link is also in the description, but wanted to give you guys an update on that because that's going to be a hell of a lot of fun, and we can't wait. And we are just a month away from it. All right. And also, by the way, one last thing. We are well over 500 people in here. Nothing new at this point. So wanted to thank everybody who's hung out this entire time, hung out through the off season, and of course, going to be riding through the regular season with us. Do us a favor, like button and subscribe button. That way you can be locked in with us for the entirety of 2025 here. All right, let's dive into these super chats. Well over 20 of them to get to as we start things off with my main man, Dangerous Dave's Jeepin' Trips. And he's saying 49ers dominate as long as Lyle isn't on the field. Well, I think unless he's in the press box, Jesse, maybe they put him up in the booth for this game, according to Dave.
No, he'll be on the field.
He's aging like Abraham Lincoln post-Civil War.
I keep seeing the side-by-sides of him and McVay because I think they're roughly the same age, right? Yeah. Listen, he's grinding though. You can't knock the hustle.
He's grinding something.
Yeah, man. Oh man.
Ice cubes.
Well, maybe he'll be in the booth, Dave, if you can convince him, and maybe that'll give your Niners a better chance. But for now, I'm imagining we see him out on the field. Mo Maggot coming in. He's saying the Seattle jersey, cool idea, terrible execution. Brandon, what would you have rather of them done, if anything?
I think leaning back into the old school jerseys that everybody seems to like nationally and finding an offsuit of those, that would have been a better way to have gone, because everybody would just like to have the throwbacks be the permanent jerseys anyway. And I think that's just the way you could have just leaned into as a given idea. So I don't know why you don't have an oversight of somebody going, oh, wait, this looks like Oregon too much. Maybe we don't want to go that way because, again, this is the locale is like that. We're kind of against that here. I know we got some Oregon people in Washington, but yeah, that's where I kind of sit with it.
Mark Sanchez coming in. As we know, this is not the real Mark Sanchez that we confirmed last week. We were able to get that from our sources. Mark saying the Rams still suck. Big ol' insert 2 emojis here. Go Hawks. Mark getting creative with the emoji keyboard there, Jake.
I got no words for that. What the hell?
That's donkey balls. I think that's donkey balls.
Yeah, I think that would be donkey balls.
I'd be upset too if I lost to a team with a tiebreaker. I get it.
Mic drop. Let's bring Dave back in. I can see Jake getting food, giving me a drink, giving me ice, putting it in a cup, giving me my McNuggets, giving me my barbecue sauce, giving me my fries, putting them in the bag, and not spitting in my food. Thank you.
I don't know what that means. I never worked in fast food, so I don't. You do not want me helping you with that. Super funny.
He strikes you as a guy though that wouldn't spit in his food, so I think that means you're a good guy. According to Dangerous Dave.
Yeah, I wouldn't spit in anyone's food. I'm probably the person that would make you food because I like cooking.
He's calling you a solid dude, a solid fast worker dude.
Yeah,
thanks. Yeah. Well said, Dave. Nice. That was very nice.
Wait, hold on. I think I could see Jake getting food. And then he's saying, "Give me a drink, give me ice, put it in a cup, give me my McNuggets, give me my barbecue sauce, give me my fries, put it in the bag."
You're the guy ordering that. Okay, I got
you. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So nothing is going to get your food spit on faster than telling him not to spit on your food.
Oh yeah. No, no one actually says do not spit on my food.
Does he order a liter of cola?
Yeah, that reminds me.
I don't drink soda.
Like, don't spit on my food. And don't spit on his food. It's a cop. Did you say it because it's a cop?
Wait, McNuggets? Oh, I wouldn't be caught dead at McDonald's. Come on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hot take. No Mickey D's for it.
I'm trying to avoid all fast food. Now, when we're out in LA, no promises. But
there you go.
But I'm trying. Yeah, I mean, probably. Yeah, I'll still probably avoid it. But yeah, I'm trying to avoid fast food.
Well, anyway, I guess Dave's just saying that you sound like a guy that orders a pretty typical order and says thank you. It's just that you need to specify not to spit in the food. But I mean, hey,
I see what he's saying. I have to like go over every little thing. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes they don't put enough ice in the drink, so I don't blame you. It's not the worst thing in the world. Mo Maggot coming in. Thanks, LA, for the linebackers from Seattle.
Yeah, we hadn't had a chance to say that. I mean, you gave us Jones last year, and then you're giving us Paul. I mean, is this just a yearly event now? You just giving us stuff for free on a yearly basis? We'll take it. I'm okay. If you guys just want to feed our roster, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is, while I disagree with it, I'm way more pissed about Willie Lampkin. I have two comments. One, Seattle copying the Rams, I think it makes a lot of sense. They're the ones that won the Super Bowl. They're the ones that have created 3 different Super Bowl teams, like 3 completely different. That's the team you want to copy. I get it. Number 2, losing Willie Lampkin to the Eagles is the one that had me. I ask anyone who was watching my live streams. I was heated. I was having a hard time being professional because that was just idiotic. If the Eagles pick
up an offensive lineman, that was a mistake to let them go.
Well, it was a mistake because, Jesse, they could have just put him on designated return IR like they did with 2 guys last year who they didn't even return last year. So they easily just could have kept him. And instead they're like, oh, we're going to play it cute and we're going to release him waived injured. And then he got claimed. And I saw all these people talking about, oh, well, the unwritten rule. Look, I don't care. Howie Roseman's an asshole. You have to be an asshole to be a general manager. You just do. So don't hit me with the unwritten rule. The Rams easily could have just put him on designated return IR. They did not. They lost him. That's on them.
Yep.
Real quick, just to counter on the copy thing. I saw you mention that on Twitter too. Is it copying when you grab Akeelia Witherspoon, Poona Ford, Bobby Wagner, Colby Parkinson?
Bobby Wagner was on for 1 year. Akella Witherspoon, you guys wouldn't even let him play.
That's the point. You did it without context. You're like, here's some names. That's them copying. Like, no, it's not. You guys let good talent walk out the door last year, which you let.
Offensive line coach.
Hold on. I brought up to you with the Ernest Jones thing last year. I'm like, why would you do that? You're like, yeah, I've got inside scoop. There's something to play here. The guy came in and was awesome for us. That ain't copying. That's you guys overlooking what was a really good talent that you probably should have kept, quite frankly, who's going to be awesome for us in the future. And that may just now happen with
they weren't going to pay him. So, like, I mean, I don't agree with the return that they got.
That's
right?
not copying then. That's us being able to pluck a
No,
talent
I'm
off
just-
the roster that's a quality talent.
I'm just busting your ass.
I know. That's why
Yeah.
I'm pushing back on it.
No. I'm just busting your
ass.
ass. No, I mean, I would pick up Chris Paul Jr. if I ran a team. I think he's great. I think the reality is I don't really know what happened. I know a lot of people, I could not figure out what happened there because they didn't offer him a deal. That's the thing. See, that's why I'm like, I disagree with it, but they were around him for what, 3 months, 4 months? If they didn't offer him a deal, then there's something there. And I'm not necessarily trying to get him in trouble for something he didn't do. Talk to his father. Like, I'm rooting for him. But again, the Willie Lampkin thing had me furious. But
there may be one small chance here. I'm not saying you have to admit to this, but there may be just a small chance that there's a lot of positions the Rams get right, nail it, knock it out of the park. And maybe, just maybe, there's a nitty-bitty, tiny blind spot when it comes to inside off-ball linebackers. I know you go, well, they're devalued. I'm just saying maybe that's the case.
I mean, I'm not saying I disagree with you, but at the same time, Omar Spates, they found him in UDFA last year. He's a stud. Nathan Landman, he's a team captain for this team. They're expecting huge things from him.
Stud?
Omar Spates is a stud.
Jesse, would you call Omar Spates a stud?
Guys,
Mike, would you call Omar
reason to
Spates a
argue.
stud?
Can we just all agree that the Seahawks are going to lose this week?
No, they're going to win. What? Now I have to change my reality to get you on my side?
I feel another battle of the hats brewing right up top here at some point.
I'll say this, okay? Because I love Chris Paul Jr., but I'm very excited for Sean Dolak. And what I hate about cutting a guy like him, Chris Paul, is that now everyone's talking about him and not giving Sean Dolak his praise because he had to work his ass off to make the roster. I think that the calf injury, like if I don't know for sure, Brandon, I think the calf injury had him behind. CPJ I'm talking about had him behind. I think Sean Dolak, clearly they told us they were going to keep Troy Reeder. Whether I agree with it, that doesn't mean anything. They chose Sean Dolak. Dolak was, getting first team reps. He had the green dot. Understand, this is a guy at Buffalo who's the only consensus All-America from Buffalo. Not even Khalil Mack was that. And he didn't get a freaking Senior Bowl invite. He didn't get a combine invite. I mean, I think the process has gone very commercial, and it's all, if you're at the big schools, you get the looks, and the small school guys have really suffered since COVID. So, yeah, I just want to give a shout out to number 56, Sean Dolak, who absolutely deserves to be on a 53 and should have been drafted. And I am, at the same time, rooting for Chris Paul. I hope he kills it with Seattle. I know I'm not supposed to say that, but not rooting against the guy. It wasn't his fault. But at the same time, I think we should be, like Rams fans especially, should be like, man, yeah, Sean Dolak deserves praise for making this roster because I told you guys this was not an easy roster to make.
Well, Alex is thinking that we got another, like I said earlier, we got a battle of the hats brewing up there. Alex is thinking the same thing. He's saying Jake versus Brandon, the Thunderdome match is back on. He's not even talking about the battle of the hats.
So I'm cage matching three different people?
Yeah, the battle of the parking lot. The battle of SoFi.
Old school UFC. You got to have 5 fights a night.
Just when you thought it couldn't get better, we got that. We got the game, and we got the restaurant. I mean, come on, guys. If you haven't bought a ticket yet, link in the description below. You got to get in.
You just package so they're not only going to give you entertainment in the form of a live podcast, and they're going to hang out with you, but they're also going to fight each other.
Yes, in a cage. And that's not even including the Mexican restaurant.
Weapons.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. Mo Maggot's got some cool tidbits, by the way, on those Seahawks jerseys. So apparently those what Mike said were Talon marks or something at the top of the jersey, actually sound waves from the 12s.
That's right.
With the 12s on the jersey,
so loud it blows the holes in the jerseys. That's how loud it is.
I know this is annoying, but I think that this stuff gets me. I'm such a shill. Like the marketing gimmick stuff gets me.
Oh
good.
my God.
That's a hell of an explanation.
Are you kidding me?
Great work. That's great.
Maybe this would have worked back when Marshawn Lynch, that run. Yeah. But Brandon said last year that they don't have the same, it's not the same 12s. It's not as loud as it used to be. There's way more people for other teams. Like, this used to be like the place where you have to play a playoff game there and you're like, oh shit, we're in trouble. We're not, we're not even going to be able to hear the huddle. We're not going to be able to hear it all, right? It's when the 12th man actually made a difference. And Brandon, I didn't forget what you said last year. It clearly, I'm not saying it doesn't make any difference, but it's gone downhill tremendously. And that's why it sounds silly. Plus, I think the sound waves is ridiculous. Mike, I agree with you. The Talon thing is better.
Yeah,
guys, if you look really close down the stripe of the pants, you can see them throwing fish at Pike Street Market.
I love you so much for that. This is the type of bullshit that I'm over. I'm just over this. Okay,
I am not kidding you. I am not kidding you. Go on my Twitter right now. I literally tweeted a picture of the stripe going down the Bills' pants, and I said of all the details, my favorite detail is the ice crackling down the. I thought you were just ripping on me personally right there, Jesse. I swear to God, I've never felt more personally attacked. That was literally, I literally almost verbatim tweeted that exact same thing. And I told you, I prefaced, I am the biggest shill on the face of the planet. That is hilarious.
That is so funny.
My wife even said something to me. She goes, by the way, you posted a picture of Josh Allen's ass and basically said that was the favorite detail of the jersey. I'm like, yeah.
That's so funny.
I'm like, yeah, you're not kidding.
Oh,
hey, by the way,
God.
Speaking of these jerseys, the real cheese coming in, looking at the initial promo stuff, the Hawks ones looked bad. Seeing them in natural lighting, though, they looked better. Still don't like them, but the real cheese still loves the Hawks. So he can get behind whatever they're wearing so long as they're winning. Joseph's coming in. Jesse, the Niners are getting swept by the division and go 5-12. Why is that?
Listen, if they go 5-12, Shanahan's got to get out of here.
Wow. Lyle will be no more if that's the case, Joseph, who's also saying Brock and the Niner brittle defense are going to get destroyed. Oh, he's doubling down. Why not triple down? Because Joe's coming in again. He's saying Will Michael, he could be the worst first-round pick this season. Or will Michael be the worst first-round pick?
Not at all. Not even close.
He's going to be good against the run initially, and the pass rush will come along with him long term. It's just he's a youngster and he's got to develop, but he should be a pretty good, close to monster against the run out the gate.
Do you want to know who will?
Like he's playing with one, right?
Shut your mouth.
You know who will?
Shut your mouth. I already know where you're going. And
you know who will?
Do not say it.
Brandon.
Say it. Say it.
He's not.
The guy the Cardinals drafted.
So don't talk about him. Don't talk about him.
We're not talking about him because he's not on a 53 right now.
The worst.
The Mr. Nolan.
Good God.
Nolan. Were you thinking? Were you Jackson Dart?
No, I knew you were. I was
going to say
there will be the worst. There will be the worst first round pick in this division.
No, I think.
I cannot wait.
I think Walter Nolan is the worst pick.
Yeah, we know Brandon's answer on this one. He's just waiting. Look at him. He grins every time that guy's name comes up. He just can't wait. He can't wait.
Hey, come on, Jesse, give me some love. I've been a big fan of Michael, and I've defended.
No,
him.
you have. No,
and I think
Walter Nolan's going to be good, though. I can't.
Yeah, I mean, he gets hurt. You guys are all cheering and.
No, I'm not. No.
5 sack will look awesome on the stat sheet.
I'm not. So I'm not cheering for him. Cheering for him to get hurt. I'm not. Rooting against him. I just thought he was overdrafted. That's all.
Hey, speaking of those jerseys, by the way, which Mike, I don't know, I don't get it. There certainly seems to be some hate for them. The Arizona tortillas.
Ooh,
yeah. Somebody did on Twitter or X, whatever the hell you want to call it. They did put like a tortilla right next to it. Okay, I can see the.
I
got nothing on that.
Little tortillas.
I like it a little bit more now.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, by the way, Mike, speaking of the Cardinals, Dylan wants to know what the ceiling is this season. What's the absolute max, the best they can do?
Ooh, I mean 17-0. No,
yeah.
I mean realistically, I think 11 wins. I think realistically 11 wins. Now it's gonna take you don't crash and burn at the end of the season. Is that going to come to fruition? We'll have to kind of wait and see. So I say 11 to be real. Dangerous Dave.
I'll wear a hat with Jesse if we lose. F the Hawks. Wow. All right. So you're forming an army here, Jesse. That's kind of nice.
More Niner fans wearing Seahawks hats. That's supposed to make me sad. I'm like, good, here we go. We're slowly bringing you along.
I think Brandon would happily send you one, Dave, to be honest. I think he might send one your way.
This is not an L here.
Joe's coming back in, piling on the Niners. 49ers 6, Seahawks 49. Milrow with 2 TDs. Wow.
Jeez.
Best
He's going to be
debut.
a factor in the. They're going to bring him out in the field, by the way, this year. So you are going to get. Sorry to interrupt you, Z-Bod. You're going to get some of Milroe on the field, like 5-6% of the snaps, and sort of those kitschy packages. A lot of RPO stuff, but especially stuff down by the red zone. So I think that's what he's probably kind of referencing here is the threat of that by the red zone to make them more effective down there.
Yeah, that would be fun to watch, especially somebody who isn't locked into a starting role yet. To get him actual reps would be great and kind of throw a wrinkle into things. So that'll be fun to look out for. Mace coming in. Cards going to have the best run game in the division. Go Cards. How about that, Mike?
No, they're not. That's not.
Hey, is this the second super chat?
Come on. I think it's like the third or fourth. You're on fire right now.
What the hell?
I know the Saints are around the corner, right? They're excited.
I mean, I love James Conner, man. I think he's going to have himself a pretty darn good game. So he's going to start off really good. I mean, I wouldn't come out here and say, the best. But, yeah, I mean, I love him. He's going to definitely be up there.
Brandon, warm those fingers up because Ducey's coming in with a couple of back-to-back bangers. We got some orange from Ducey. Let me hear it.
Go!
Ducey's got his predictions in with a big-time super chat. He's saying, I'm feeling a Rams win, a Seahawks win, a Cardinals win, and a sorry Niners.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of you has to lose the game.
Hold on. I got a soundboard of my own. Hold on a second. Let's make sure, please.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Now,
Get him out of
hey,
here.
listen, this is where it gets interesting, though, Jesse, because we do have another banger from Ducey. Brandon, go ahead, please, if you would.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Now he's giving you some love. Now, actually, this isn't Ducey. Yeah, this person.
No.
Oh, why would it be? Why would it be? Right? Obviously, concierge with Nolan looks exactly like Ducey. Whatever. I guess I'll give you the praise anyways, Jesse, because we do need to give you a little boost after we have Ducey predicting you to be the only loss in the division. Concierge is saying, watched a lot of Niner content. Jesse with Coach or Cone or with LaRocca. Jesse is the only one with some respect on the Hawks name. Hope his belief in us is realized. Thanks for your confidence, Jesse. Go Hawks. Oh, wow.
Not confident in week 1, but yes, I really have. Like, I've overestimated them 2 years in a row. We'll see what happens this year.
Cryptic coming in. Jesse, you've been high on Seattle taking that jump for a few years now, and it never quite worked out. This division seems so dependent on health. Seems like a lot of people are riding on your expectations of the Seahawks here, Jesse.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, Brandon and I have done the crossover show for 3-4 years now, and I've always talked very respectfully of them. I think the roster's been there, just the coaching hasn't. And I think they do have the coaching, and that's what makes this interesting. Now, as much as I bagged on Geno Smith, I certainly believe in him a lot more than I do Sam Darnold. So things are a little bit different, but roster-wise, they've built the roster very well. Very, very well.
Mo Maggot back in with yet another bold prediction. Seattle versus San Francisco will have more total rushing yards than total passing yards. The team that wins will be the team with more rushing yards. So that kind of lays into that low scoring game. Yeah.
It's very realistic that it could go that way. I think both teams, especially week 1, Jesse mentioned the offenses being behind the defenses, the receiver depth you guys are dealing with, us with Darnold, new quarterback. I think it just all does point to you're going to have a heavy amount of rushing attempts in this game.
CD Woods. Biggest improvement from Seattle was firing Ryan Grubb. Watch the Alabama game. We had to deal with a whole season of that and won 10 games.
Yeah, if you watch the Alabama game, you got to watch the Seattle Seahawks game last year as far as the way Grubb calls games. It's very counterintuitive. It's all over the place. There doesn't seem to be any sort of sequencing or setting anything up. It gets really frustrating really fast, and he's in the right place where he should be, back at the college scheme. But now, like Jesse just said, and this is a point that can't be undersold, coaching has held this team back in a major way. It hasn't been 5 different things. That's how they spend money, in free agency, how they draft. It's been coaching and scheme. It's really come down to simply that over the past couple of years, and we've now hopefully fixed it.
Well, when I said Ducey had 2 bangers, I wasn't lying because he just came in with a purple super chat. How about this?
Let's go.
Woo. Sorry, Jesse. It's Rams house.
No, it's all good. I love you, but not that last super chat. Not a fan of that one.
Dangerous Dave. Woohoo, free food. Can't wait. Let's go. Who says no to that?
Yeah.
Perfect way to look at it,
A
Dave.
weirdo.
Yeah, exactly. We can't wait for it. It's going to be awesome. Kings will dream. Oh, yes, boys. I'm driving up to Washington now to see the Niners get cooked. Can't wait, says Kings will dream.
Let's go.
Sad ride home, brother.
Let's go.
Sad ride home.
There's a
Oh
lot
no,
of
you're gonna be paying this out of your car. You're gonna be like those messages like they do with the prom messages or just wedded. Be like, just kick the Niners' ass, heading home.
With the cans rattling off the back of it.
That's
you know,
right. That's right.
What's the big confidence? Is it Sam Darnold, the defense? Like, what is this confidence? I mean, obviously the chat is run by the Seattle Seahawks.
Well, again, the way that you and you guys not at times in here, I think there's some respect in here, but I think that there's a little bit of like when you look at Seattle, I've heard like, well, they're like a cockroach. Well, they're there's never a reference to the fact again, 3 straight winning seasons, 10-win year last year. That's not done with an aging roster. That's not done at the end of the LOB era where guys are going to start falling away. That's with a lot of rookies and youngsters. Like 3 years ago, we started 6 guys on that team that got to the playoffs and had the Niners on the brink, on the road at halftime. That team is now developed more further and further. And I also think, and this is not anything that's new for you guys on this, I was on this on the Geno Smith trade telling you guys, I think that there's sometimes from fandoms too much on getting caught up on the quarterback position, sort of being this ultimate end-all be-all driver to everything. And that's what's happened with this Darnold outlook of it is that, oh, I love the roster, love the defense. Well, there's some questions on offensive line, but love everything else. And they go, well, I just hate Darnold, so I have to hate. Then that team's not going to be good because of that. That seems to see sometimes the simplistic nature of the outlook of it here. And I just don't think that's enough because this thinking that he's going to go back to Darnold with the Jets, it's really kind of just empty thinking, in my opinion. The thinking that he just sort of fell into the year last year because he had Justin Jefferson somehow, I really think that that's very thinly placed thinking when it has the outlook of the quarterback. And again, this is in conjunction with our talks last year on Geno Smith. I've been on this train prior to Sam Darnold, saying that I think that people's outlook towards the quarterback position and how they assess it, how they think it impacts the rest of the team, how the rest of the team impacts that position, doesn't get looked at into the depth that it needs to be looked at times. And I think Sam Darnold's going to be another case of that.
I can't wait to watch Darnold.
An awful lot. The Seattle Osprey are losing week 1. That's all I know.
That hat's gonna look so good on you.
I'll say, Brandon, I agree with most of what you're saying, but the Saints, that's where the quarterback. I mean, you gotta have like they don't have a Darnold, they don't have a Geno, they don't have somebody like that.
Well,
so I think
that's where it's fair. But that's a great point.
Yeah.
The way people are talking about Sam Darnold is almost akin at times the way people might talk about a Spencer Rattler.
No, I agree.
Like it's not that far of a breach between them in the way that these guys get talked about. And I think that there's actually a pretty far breach between those two guys. I think that one guy's a 6th-round pick, one guy's a former 1st-round pick for a reason. I think some of these reasons are coming to be. It isn't that Sam Darnold's going to come out and have an MVP season. It's that he's going to play efficient and effective. And again, he's playing in an offense that's not going to require him to throw, as you said earlier, like you're mentioning 40 times, because that's what we think quarterbacks have to do now. But we're in the age of where running the ball this year especially is coming to the forefront. There's going to be a lot more games this year, guys, not just in our games, but across the sport, where you're going to see both quarterbacks under 30 attempts for the game because everything's driving back to running the football this year more than it is about passing the ball like it was 3 or 4 years ago, where passing the ball was just rising, and seemingly never stopping.
Dave thinks that Jake's making another good point, by the way. He says, Jake is right. McDonald's is poison. Save yourselves.
It is. I can't even believe the stuff they're allowed to cook the fries with. Just do your research. I don't know what else.
Would anybody else be surprised if it was Soylent Green at this point?
No, I don't even know what that is.
No,
I don't either.
Yes, you know, I am old as hell. It's a movie with Heston, and he ends up learning as they're finding out this food that they're fed like McDonald's at the end it's human beings. And
yeah. Well,
so that's why it's so good.
That's what Manwich is, according to that urban legend.
Yeah. Hey, Dave's also saying, is there any other podcast getting together to watch a game? How cool is this? Honestly, I've been to one game in my life, and it was a free preseason ticket at Candlestick. Should be cool for Niners and Rams fans alike. Wow, couldn't have said it better, Dave. It's going to be awesome. And I'm sure there's others that do it, but none quite like us. That's for sure. This is going to be 101. So we can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. Alex is going to be there having fun with us. And he's saying, will they be serving Cards jerseys at the Mexican restaurant? Love you, Mike. Can't wait to see y'all experience the greatest stadium in the world. Well, so we got Alex is going to have that jersey. He's going to have the big booty bot shirt. He's coming prepared. He's going to have his Chipotle forks, right?
If all things go right, I'll wear the tortilla jersey over. Hopefully I get that bad boy.
You got to get one, no doubt. I love it.
By that point, you better have it, or otherwise
Right, yeah, true.
we're gonna have a bone to pick with a certain company.
Yeah.
Real quick.
And Cryptic's going to close us out super chat wise saying Pearsall is the new 50 Cent. He gets shot and now he's making a diamond record, but instead of a diamond record, he's going for the triple crown. Book it. How about that? He's predicting a big year from Ricky Pearsall. And apparently an MVP caliber year from Brock Purdy as well, if that ends up being the case. So
that's his cousin, right? Brother?
Yeah. Pure fiction.
Well, we'll find out, right? We'll find out Pearsall this week. We'll find out Darnold, all these things we've been talking about. We start to find out what this all looks like this upcoming week because we have made it, folks. Addison saying I missed the super chat, or I didn't see one from Addison.
There's one above. I thought you might have popped past a little bit up.
Kyle from
middle.
South Park.
Oh, Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle from South Park.
Well, what did it say?
Oh, it's just talking about Kyler. Just move on.
Kyler from South Park
says that he sucks. Says, fun fact, Kyler sucks in September. He sucks in November. He sucks in December. He sucks in... No, he doesn't say that.
No,
he's basically saying that his record gets worse as QBR gets worse. And one-score games, 2 minutes left, and as the months progress. So,
damn. Well, sorry, Addison, and sorry, Mike. I think you probably would have preferred if I did, would have moved on there, but we got to get them all in.
And I remember now he had presented that stat to me on my channel offline to bring it up to you guys on that. Just that the Kyler's track record throughout his career, because he's the hot start. He's good early on. Well, it's like it doesn't exactly fit to that when you go month by month. He's kind of a loser in every month, at least historically speaking, through his career. And again, last 2 minutes, it's not exactly been the go time for him. And like Jesse's told me many times that what a guy does in the last 2 minutes at times, or Jake, I think one of you guys is a big guy on this, and what you do with that, derives a lot of what you are as a quarterback and how good you are.
Well, maybe it's go time for him this weekend. We're going to find out a lot this weekend. I can't wait. Week 1 is here. It kicks off in less than 48 hours. Sunday, just a few days away. And this time next week, right where you're at on the NFC West Roundtable YouTube channel, we'll be recapping it all, including the Battle of the Hat. You're not going to want to miss it. So on the way out the door, like button if you could, subscribe button if you could. Links in the bio. Get your tickets for the event. We're a month away. Rams, Niners at SoFi Stadium. Lock that in. Get in on your deposit match with Sleeper. Also get your 15% off on RotoWire. Both promo codes are RTS. Predictions are locked in. Previews have been had. Now that's all that's left to do, fellas. Sit back and watch what happens, and we'll be back with y'all next week to recap what we watch. But for tonight, that's going to do it. Jake, Brandon, Mike, and Jesse, I'm your host, Z-Bot. Thanks so much, as always, for tuning into the NFC West Roundtable, and we'll see you on the next one.
Go Cards.
Go Hawks.